Android and iOS both account for over 98% of the global smartphone operating systems market share, with Android accounting for 72.2% and iOS accounting for 26.99% of the total global market shares, respectively. There is no doubt here that Android has the global market shares numbers on lockdown, but there are several reasons to believe that iOS outperforms Android. In this video, we will talk about some features that explain why iOS is faster than Android, software, and hardware. One main reason iOS outshines Android is the software and hardware optimization. Apple's iOS has a closed ecosystem, and this means that Apple creates both the operating system and the hardware that no other company can or uses to integrate with their services. And this gives Apple an advantage over Android in terms of hardware and software synchronization. Because of Apple's closed ecosystem, which allows for tighter integration, iPhones don't require powerful specs to compete with high-end Android phones. It all boils down to hardware and software optimization, which they may combine the two in such a way that your phone gets the most out of the processor. With iOS closed ecosystem that only requires Apple's interference, updating your phone software is much easier with up-to-date updates. This we will discuss further in the video. RAM and ROM. The RAM and ROM in iPhones are generally faster than the RAM and ROM in Android phones. The iPhone's RAM and ROM have fast data read and write speeds, which explains why applications load faster and the iPhone reboots faster. iOS also has a more powerful cache memory, which is basically an intermediate memory that is faster than your RAM and stores information needed by the CPU. Thus, more cache your CPU has, the faster it will run. So for example, one of Apple's most powerful smartphones, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, features a 6-core CPU and 6 GB of RAM. And these qualities are regarded mid-range when compared to the recent Android market. Updates. Another reason iOS breaks the ice here is software updating, and they are mainly known for their better software updates. iOS makes updates available when needed. It will automatically launch and begin the process, allowing you to install the updates immediately. These updates include new features and security improvements to keep your phone current and secure. Android, on the other hand, is a little slower to update their software. And if your phone is up to date and secure, it means your phone is less likely to get attacked by malware and viruses. We will discuss the security advantage iOS has over Android moving forward in the video. Performance. The next thing iOS does better than Android is their performance. From its simplicity and easy-to-use nature to its smooth graphics and processors, that make sure iOS delivers great performance rates than Android devices to deliver effective and efficient performance. Compared to Android, iOS devices are generally smoother and faster, unlike Android, which is usually slow most of the time. iOS is not loaded with too much that it requires little effort to operate, such that first-time iOS users, or even kids, require little to no effort to figure out the basics of an iOS phone. The same way, if you already own an iOS device, you can easily switch to any other iOS device and still know exactly how it works. Security. iOS here is also popularly known for their security and privacy system. iOS phones are designed in such a way that no one can access them without the user's consent. The iPhone's memory is encrypted, making it impossible to hack the device and view sensitive information. They offer facial and fingerprint authentication to protect personal information, and the fingerprint and Face ID are also saved in the phone rather than on a cloud service on the iPhone X. Android, however, is easily hacked in most cases. Thus, in terms of security, Android loses the race. These security systems, put in place in the long run, prevent your iOS device from malware and viruses, which in Android's case is otherwise. Apple CEO Tim Cook last year said that the Android operating system had 47 times more malware and viruses than the iOS operating system. Apple Pay. And the final feature is Apple Pay. Apple Pay is a widely used mobile payment system created by Apple that is simple to set up and use. Simply bring your iPhone near a supported payment terminal at the checkout counter, to use the Apple Pay function of iOS devices. Then use your phone's Face ID or Touch ID sensor to confirm the transaction. It's compatible with Apple's smartphones, iPads, and even wearables. Apple Pay is also being embraced by more banks and credit card providers, and also accepts a wide range of loyalty cards and store-issued credit cards from a variety of merchants. The new Apple Wallet app stores all that information. And with Apple set release its own credit card, the Apple Card, it promises to make your financial life easier by making it simple to track your spending and where it goes. If you don't prefer this form of financial transaction, you can still use the Messages app to send and receive money from friends and family. We can agree here that Apple does quite a lot right. Regardless, every product has its advantages and disadvantages, but at the end of the day, what matters most is your preference. That's all for today. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting.